amazing feats. The 10-minute walks, they never stop. They're all day, they're every day. Periodically throughout the day, keep yourself moving. I highly recommend it. I highly suggest it. I think it's important. Keep yourself moving, keep yourself grooving. Try to get yourself some sunlight in whatever way you can. And let that sunlight, roll up them sleeves if you can. Might be kind of cold where you're at. But if the sun gets cranking and it gets a little bit warm out there, try to get some of that sunlight on your skin. It's going to make you feel better, getting that vitamin D, activating that vitamin D. It will really make a big difference. Anyway, you got to also stay on track with your sleep. You got to also stay on track with your food. This is a time, I actually think this is great. This is a time to lean into the resistance of life. This is a time to dig in and get a little stronger and be a little tougher. And I know you're probably feeling sappy. I know you're probably a little melancholy, a little down in the dumps. But now ain't the time for that shit. Now is the time to step on the gas pedal and be more connected to your values, your virtues, your disciplines, the motivation and inspiration that you've had to be sparked and to powerlift and to CrossFit and to bodybuild and to do strongman and the different things that you've been Olympic lifting, the different things that you've been embarking on, the different things that you've been engaged in. You spent a lot of time disciplining yourself, getting used to all that. And you really owe it to yourself to stay connected to that. Think about the discipline you ingrained with your diet, and now all of a sudden you're going to be on a seafood diet. One of those deals, everything you see, you eat type thing, right? It doesn't make any sense. It might make some sense at the moment to not be focused on fat loss, because that might be something you've been I think that's something that everyone's focused on for so long, and you can get back to that at some other time. But now is a time to step on the gas in terms of your exercise regimen and good, sound nutrition. Not necessarily, I guess my point here is well-being. I want you to feel well. And sometimes when you're losing fat, sometimes it doesn't feel too great, especially if you're doing it for too long. Anyway, stay connected to those disciplines the best you can. You see me doing it each and every day. I'm getting in a lot of time with my family, a lot of time with my kids, watching movies, hanging out, having a good time. And then I'm throwing this shit in there, getting on these walks. Gonna go on a walk with my brother, and I'm gonna drink up some coffee. I'm actually meeting a fan downtown here. We'll keep our social distancing going. A fan, somebody's got an idea. They hit me up on Instagram, gave them my phone number, and now we're going to be meeting today for the first time. Anyway, don't let this thing change who you are. Don't let it change who you are. Let it show people who you are. Arm's getting a little tired over here. Delt. Let it show people who you are. Be made out of something different. That's what this game's all about. You're not hysterical. You're not falling for the bullshit in the media. Okay, this is going to kill a lot of people. We already know that. People are going to die. People die every day. It's part of living. Anything that's alive can die. Anything that you own or possess can be taken away from you at any moment. That's why we got to be humble. I know, I'm the guy talking about being humble, right? Anyway, I don't brag as much as you guys think. Or maybe I do. Anyway, gonna grab some coffee, enjoying this walk. Feeling amazing, feeling good, and gonna get some training in at ST a little bit later today. And then also podcast. Staying connected, even when everything else is wiped out. Stay connected to your disciplines. Keep the pressure on. Hitting up this cardio, keeping the beats 125, 130. It's actually really hard to keep this tempo, this speed, this height, this incline. Fucking sucks to do it for about a half an hour. So working on my cardiovascular training, working on building up that heart, something I never worked on before in my life. So I got this on 12 and 3.2, not following what the trainer and the Peloton stuff's doing, keeping my heart rate between 135 and 145, and I'm trying to do so for a half an hour straight, trying to build up a base, trying to build up an aerobic base. And so this is how we do it. We do it by kind of chilling out in the zone that doesn't feel too hard, but this is still strenuous. It's a lot of my hammies and groin. Still a lot of hard work, but I can do it all mainly through nasal breathing. If I stop talking, I can get back to that. So that's what I'll be practicing here today. About 20 minutes in already, so going pretty good. And I listen to weird shit. Alan Watts, if you've never heard of this, it's one of my favorite things that I've ever heard on the internet. A guy named Alan Watts talks about aim and shoot at the same time. And that's what I'm doing right here. Not talking about it, just getting after it. Get a little bit of information and dive right in and start heading towards a goal before the goal is even really thought of. The goal will manifest itself. It will appear as I dive into this. It will grow, and this whole thing will grow. And over a period of time, I'm gonna like this as much or maybe even more than lifting weights, I think. So this is Alan Watts talking about a student going to a professor, and the student says, "I suffer," and the teacher says, the professor says, "You suffer because you desire. You need to not desire." And then he unloads this on him.
The philosophy of Buddha, that's B-A-H-M, professor of philosophy at the University of New Mexico. And he gives a very, very fascinating analysis of the middle way in the form of a dialogue, whereby it works simply like this. The student brings a problem to the teacher, and he says, "I suffer, and it's a problem to me." And the teacher says, "You suffer because you desire. If you didn't desire, you wouldn't suffer. So try not to desire." And the student goes away and says, "I'm not very successful in this. I can't stop desiring. It's terribly difficult. And furthermore, I find that in trying to stop desiring, I'm desiring to stop desiring. Now what am I to do about that?" And the teacher replies, "Do not desire to stop desiring any more than you can." And so the student goes away and practices that. But he comes back to the teacher and said, "I still find myself desiring excessively to stop desiring, and it doesn't work." So the teacher says, "Do not desire too much, not to desire, to stop desiring." Now, do you see what's happening? Step by step, almost like Achilles approaching the tortoise, the student is being brought together with himself to the point where he catches up with his own inner being and can accept it completely. And that is, you see, the most difficult thing to do, to accept oneself completely.
That's the hardest thing to do, is to accept oneself completely, right? We're all in search of something. We all desire things, and what an amazing point that when your mind is wandering like that, and you do have these desires, it's hard to figure out how you stop thinking about the things that you don't have. But maybe look inward, think about all the positive stuff you have going on for yourself, all the things you developed for yourself. And at this time, there's no better time than to lean into the resistance of life than right now. I know a lot of you that have been following me, you've been practicing fitness, you've been practicing the diet, you've been doing the best you can with it. Maybe you don't have the physique that you want, but that's okay. I'm sure you achieved a lot of the goals that you wanted to do. Think about when you set out that goal to do 10 push-ups. You probably forgot about that. You probably don't care about it anymore, but you should. The goal that you had to train every day for 2 weeks. You know, there's a bunch of things that you've accomplished, that you've done, and you're always going to be hungry for more, but that's a trap. That is a real hefty trap, because you can end up unhappy. As this guy was pointing out, he was troubled. He went to the teacher, and the teacher had to tell him, you're troubled because you desire. You're desiring too much. Try to be complete from the inside out. Not an easy thing to do. But how do we feel complete? We feel complete by completing things, knocking things off our checklist. This is day number 2 of me working on some cardiovascular training. It might be 3 months from now where I talk about how I've fallen off of that, right? But it doesn't mean that we don't try. You still try, you try new things, you try to expand. What's it all for? It's hard to say. I would just say for me, I'm in search of continuing to develop myself, because I feel that that's going to make me feel really complete. It's not necessarily, getting leaner or getting stronger, getting bigger. I've done all those things a bunch of times, and what I've learned is that they don't make you any happier than you are right now. Your mind is as happy as you make it up to be. That's an Abraham Lincoln quote. Your mind is as happy as you make it up to be. You make it up to be happy and to be successful by whatever measures of success and happiness that you have for yourself. But remember, if we go back to stuff I've been preaching for a while, success is really just wrapped into problem solving. Can you solve problems for yourself? For me, I want to attack the heart because it's something I never really have gone after before. I built up my muscles, and I did a VO2 max recently, and it didn't come out very well. It wasn't very good. And rather than take that criticism and say, oh, they don't know how to test me, or, of course I'm a power lifter, I'm like, hey, that's something I can work on. That's great. It's actually good. It's actually good news for me to learn that my VO2 max is poor. Now I have knowledge of something else I can work on, something else I can bring up. Anyway, I find it really useful listening to stuff like this, and to not just, there's so much you can work on at the moment that you might not realize. I know that we're taught to kind of shelter in place, and I recommend you do that. Keep washing your hands, practice social distancing, and so on. But there's a lot of stuff you can work on. You can be working on this at home with a jump rope, or by doing 10 minutes of lunging. Help increase your metabolic rate, help burn a bunch of calories. So anyway, if you keep seeing me doing different things and switching things up, and I'm gonna start hitting the bags again, start doing some boxing again, mess around with some bodybuilding again, because I want to keep pushing my body, and I want to continue to stay connected to those disciplines. Now more than ever, it's more important that you stay connected to your disciplines. You stay connected to a schedule. Have a damn schedule. Don't go to bed at 11:30. Still go to bed at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, whatever that normal time is for you. Wake up as if you have somewhere to be. Wake up as if you have somewhere to be. Still get up at 6 or 7 o'clock. Even if you're out of work, can you work on not being out of work?
I'm sure that you can. Or you can throw your hands up and you can quit, right? You can say, oh, the government, Trump signed a $2 trillion thing. I'm gonna get $1,900 or whatever that money is. And you can just wait, you know, to get a check from a president that you don't approve of, that has his name on it, but you're still gonna go cash it. I wouldn't be accepting of anything from anyone. You don't need anything from anybody. You don't need any handouts. I realized that it could help some people, and that's why they went ahead and did it. Point is, you shouldn't need any help. You should be helping yourself every day. And if you feel complete about yourself and you feel good, you'll have a courage to wake up and continue to work on yourself, no matter how bad the circumstances are. The only way to keep getting up is to keep getting knocked down. The only way to keep getting knocked down is to not be prepared and not be ready for what's coming next. But the only way for that to happen is for you to try new things. And so it's admirable to be knocked down. Everyone has been. Everyone's been knocked down. Now more than ever, it's time you clench your fist maybe a little bit harder. And rather than just throwing a punch, make sure you give it a good kiss before you deliver that blow. You know, make sure you're fighting through every day as hard as you possibly can. Why not? Why not go down swinging? Why not keep working? You built up all these disciplines in the gym. You built up this great connection to food, and now you're just going to throw it away because we had a couple days where the country says, hey man, you know, we should be on lockdown. It's a month, you know, 6 weeks, maybe it'll be 8 weeks, maybe it'll be 12 weeks, but that'll be a blink of an eye in comparison to the 70, 80, 90, 100 years that you may live, right? Do the best you can. And I think that the best that you can is probably a lot better than you're currently doing. Evaluate that. Please listen to what I'm saying. I'm not saying that I think that you have to do it. I'm not saying that this is what you should be doing. But these are things that I'm staying connected to that are making me feel good. And I'm hoping they'll work the same for you. Oh, I got 10 more minutes on here. Thanks for sticking with me, guys. And let me see. Heart rate. Yeah, 144. It probably shouldn't be this high with this level of activity. That's not a good sign, but I'm a work in progress.
I got some green apples, not my favorite flavor, but that's the flavor that this turned out to be. And it actually is really good. It's a keto slash, well, it's an intra-workout thing. I'll explain more at some other time. It's going to be a while. I'm working on some supplements, been working on them for a long time, but I won't bother you with the details for now. Anyway, just hitting this up after that little bit of cardio that I did. Hit up some lifting in a little while, but got to recuperate. And then this is available. This is from my buddy. He's got the snake diet. I don't know if you guys have seen him. He's crazy bastard. But he's got what he calls snake juice. It's just magnesium, potassium, sodium. I usually mix in like half a packet in with different things just to get some electrolytes. It's important to replenish that shit after you're done training, and especially for me because I don't eat a lot of carbohydrates. I need something to make the water stick to me. There we go. Fill her up.
Stoic philosophy too.
Oh, I love that stuff.
Amazing, right?
That felt really good. Got a half hour in, doing a little cool down. Just moseying, just walking. Went over 2 miles. I probably walked a good 2 or 3 miles this morning, but nothing like this workout. This thing was set on 15. Then I brought it down to 12 and 10, and it felt really good. Keeping that heart rate again between 135, 145 throughout the duration. I've never exercised like this before for a real long period of time. I've done straight cardio that's similar to this for my bodybuilding show, but I've never really done it to the extent I'm trying to do it now, where I'm paying attention to the heart rate. But I would imagine that when I was doing my bodybuilding show, I was actually probably very healthy.
because of the amount of cardio training I was doing. And I'm not saying, like, I know people have different opinions about cardio and how much of it you should do. I was definitely taking it to an excess when I was bodybuilding. But I think if you're to think about it, like, if I just go for a walk, and if there's no hills, that's not really enough to really exercise my heart that much. That's nice exercise. It might help lower some blood pressure. It might help with my A1C, my glucose. It may help with a lot of things, digestion. It may help my brain probably more so than anything else. But it's not really testing the heart at all. And you want something a little more strenuous. And I'm not saying that HIIT training is the answer either, because I believe that it's great to develop a certain level of fitness before you get into doing anything too hard, too strenuous. That's why I'm laying down this foundation, which is a good, simple aerobic activity. And got a workout in a little while too. I'll probably drink some essential aminos and some ketones, maybe walk around the block, shake the legs out, see if they need me for anything. I think I'm supposed to do like a voiceover or something today, talk with Andrew about some podcast stuff, and then just chill for about an hour, maybe even a little longer before I get into the next workout. Not sure what I'm going to train today. Trained the shit out of my legs yesterday. That felt really good. Could be an opportunity to do some chest. Could be an opportunity to train some shoulders or some guns. I don't know. We'll see. It could also even happen tomorrow. I'm not sure. Anyway, gonna get to it. Come on. Easy double. Ooh, Beautiful fucking day. Look at that shit. What a nice day, huh? Letting my Tesla drive for me. You know how it goes. Anyway, on my way home from Super Training Gym, the strongest gym in the West, and I had a great double-day workout, working on my cardiovascular system and working on my muscular system. I did some chest, got in a great pump, worked out with my boy Tom. A lot of dumbbell bench pressing, incline dumbbell bench pressing, dips, posing, cable crossovers. We really enjoyed ourselves today, man. We really had a great opportunity to get after with some weights, and super grateful and super thankful, that we built Super Training Gym to the point that it's built. You know, it has a lot of great equipment in there, and I'm thankful that I'm able to get in there and train in this time, because I know a lot of other people don't have access to a gym. But man, it does feel good to get in there and get that release, and I can't wait for you guys to be able to enjoy the same thing. Beyond that, I did incline dumbbell press, I did some cable crossovers, then I finished with some dips, and then we moved into some face pulls on a seated row, and
then some tricep push downs with like a rope, and then tricep push downs just with a metal like V type thing. Smashed on that. That was a great workout. Let's see what else. Oh, I haven't eaten anything yet today. The only thing I've had is some essential amino acids with some ketones, and that's a product I'll be releasing in the next couple months. Not going to release anything during this quarantine, but I got a great product. I know you guys will dig it. It's something to give you a nice burst of energy. It doesn't count as fasting, however, it could be utilized to help you partition calories when you are fasting, and it can help you get through some workouts. It gives me a nice oomph. It's got some magnesium and some sodium. It's got some electrolytes in it, as well as essential amino acids and some ketones. And then the guy that I have working on it is a guy by the name of Ian Danny, who's a wealth of knowledge. He'll drop the knowledge bombs on why this will be a good product, or why it could potentially be a good product for you. I've been using it over the last 2.5 years or so. I used it a lot to prep for my bodybuilding show. That is how long I've been working on this project for, because I like to take my time with it. And what happened is that the stuff just tastes horrific in the beginning, as I was working on it at the beginning, and you know, my intuition kind of told me, hey man, you can't sell stuff that tastes that bad, even though it works and even though it's effective. You have to work on that flavor profile. So it tastes a lot better now. We're in a lot better spot, but to match proper dosing and to do it the right way, you know, it's not going to taste like candy, but it does taste good. You know, there's probably better tasting products out there, and if you want better tasting products, then you can stick with the ones that you got. But if you want something that is going to work well, and it's worked well for me, then you can maybe potentially give this one a shot in the near future when we release it. And it's something I can stand behind. It's something I'm really enjoying, and I'm working on 2 different kinds, and I've asked you guys to do this before, but please, in the messages below, let me know what you'd like. I mean, I made a sucralose one that tastes better, and I made one without sucralose, so it's kind of a matter of what you guys want. One has artificial sweetener in it and one doesn't. You know, I personally don't care too much about artificial sweeteners, but some people do. And moving forward, you know, I'd like to, with the supplements I create, I would like to not have any crap in there, but sometimes it's kind of unavoidable, because sucralose, a small amount, a tiny amount of sucralose goes a long way. It really changes the flow profile of what you got. So anyway, in the comments below, let me know what you want to see, and I'll do my best to make it happen. Maybe I'll make both, but I've kind of learned that it's never good to be down the middle. You're better off kind of choosing a particular side when it comes to marketing, and that way that could be my message. But that means I'd have to remove the artificial sweeteners from Slingshot Protein and from Keto Pro. They both have. Anywho, I got cut off there, heading home, and gonna eat up some pork butt. And while I'm eating that, I'm gonna be cooking up some ribeye. I got that pork butt just sitting in some bone broth in the slow cooker, and it is ready to rock. I could smell it this morning, but wanted to kind of live the day out fasted, and was able to do that. But now it's time to go home and chow. Can't wait. I know that you've been waiting a long ass time to start exercising, and I know that you've been putting it off because you don't have time. But I know now that you do have time, because we're all quarantined, we're all locked up. And while you're locked up, you have a nice opportunity in front of you to start to embark on some disciplines that maybe otherwise you never got into the groove with. You have a great opportunity where every meal can be home cooked. You have an opportunity where you can work out twice a day. You can go for a walk and get some sunlight and get some vitamin D. You can get to bed on time because you don't have a bunch of work to catch up on, or you don't have a bunch of shows to catch up on because you had to watch them after you got home from work. Now is the time to push forward with everything you got. Now is the time to lean into the resistance of life harder than ever. Now is the time to show people that you're made out of something different. Now is the time to show how connected you are to your values, your virtues, your beliefs, your thought process. Now is the time to stick up points on the scoreboard. Now is the time to make a difference. I'm here to make the world a better place to lift. If you want to join me, you can check out markbell.com, where everything is free. For the next month, you can get all the home workouts that you need. All right, here's my first meal of the day. Some pork. Some pork butt. It's gonna be delicious, poo. Look at that. That looks really good. Oh my God, it smells good. I also got some leftover steak and eggs along with that. Some of these steaks that we got sitting out. Looking awesome. Ready to cook it. It's like I got a drone around my steaks.